All right, we are live streaming to the whole company.
Yay!
Everybody. We have Ann Huizen here today. Say hello.
Hello.
Which camera are we looking at, Dom?
This one.
Okay.
Hello.
Ann, how long have you been with 5-Star?
4 years.
4 years. Wow, time flies.
It does.
And where were you prior to that?
Prior to that, I was at Keller Williams East for 12 years.
Okay.
And then prior to that, for 7.5 years, I was John Postman's assistant.
Okay. So you started out basically on a team, kind of.
An unlicensed
Back then, we
assistant.
didn't have that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's 27 years ago.
You were just an assistant.
I was
at
an
that time.
assistant, and then at some point, probably after a few years of working for him, I did get licensed. So then I started selling also, plus still being the assistant role.
So you're like 21 years of real estate experience.
Ash, I've been in the business for almost 27 years.
Wow.
I know. I started when I was 1, right?
Okay.
1.
All right, let me go back, and then you can take it.
We'll go back in time, yeah.
All right, so you're with John Postma, and I worked with John back at Remax.
Yep.
We were, matter of fact, in '83, we were in the same office because he was on the northwest side of Grand Rapids then.
Okay.
And before he moved over to the southeast side. So I'm sure that, most of the people that have been around would know that John has been probably the number one agent for income in Grand Rapids for the last 20 years, maybe.
Several years.
Maybe 30.
Yeah, several. Yeah.
And John has done it probably by spending the least amount of money. No, I mean, he hated to spend money, whether it was your salary or otherwise, right?
Right.
And but clearly, I would say that John has been a prolific real estate agent in the industry, breaking, shattering all sorts of records. So when you look back, you were with him for 7, 14 on your own at KW, now 4 years at 5-Star. Do you use anything today that you learned from those first 7 years?
I do, actually. So I still go to a listing appointment the exact same way John does. So I just carried everything that I learned from him and how I set up a listing appointment to go with the simplest stuff. It's very simple, right?
Give us an example, like what kind of things
So
are you
I
talking
literally
about?
have a folder with a yellow pad of paper in it. And you first have their names, their address, their contact information, emails, and then I go underneath and it's like the year the house was built. So just very specific information that John and I both now have going into these appointments. And then we'd go through the same thing as John did. He'd walk through the house with the people and make all these notes, right?
So every time
your pens moving.
And I still do the same thing. So I walk through the house. I'm like, okay, kitchen with dining area, and using the old initials we still all know.
Windows are new.
Yeah, windows are new. I always
cabinets.
ask about the furnace, the AC unit, water heater, electrical, if it's an old house, and that sort of thing. So I have all my notes. And I go back to those notes a lot. So a lot. And I'll have the taxes written down.
So now
all
you've
that
been
stuff.
through the house.
Yep.
What's next? What else? What's the next
So
step?
after I'm done meeting with those potential sellers, I go, and by the way, I normally go to my appointments prepared. So I already have a CMA done for that house. Now, once in a while, one of the house may surprise you,
Right.
or
And
it could be way nicer. Or I'll just say,
can
you know
smell.
what, I got to go back to my office. I need to do a little more homework on this. This is just not what I was expecting, and you have way more updates than what I thought you would have in this neighborhood, and I'll even just do a phone call with them, or an email, whatever they prefer, and then but if I know, a lot of times my business is almost all referrals, so I'm going in and I'm just getting the listing. I don't interview very often. I just go in and get it. So either
Have you been surprised on that though? After you went in thinking you were the only one, and
and all of a sudden, we're interviewing 2 more people after
then
you,
you're
and it's like,
thinking
what?
oh my
Darn it!
Yeah.
Darn it!
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, you really just got to pull out all the stops and et cetera. So, but I love it when people tell you that up front.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, what's interesting with John Postma, if he knew that ahead of time, he would always ask to be the last appointment.
You want to be the last one in.
He always wanted to be the last one in. So I will try to do the same. But then the flip side of that, too, if you're the first one in, you also made the first impression.
Right.
So you hear both. I know. So you kind of hear both sides to people, people that have been in the business. What do you prefer?
I didn't typically ask the question up front, but if I found out that I was the first one, I would begin immediately trying to set the stage for if you're satisfied with what I've done here,
Mm-hmm.
would you be okay with me canceling your other appointments?
Yes. Right.
And if I figured out that I was near the end, I would start figuring out, through process of elimination, I'd start finding out, well, is there anybody that's like standing out right now, or is there, I mean, I would do anything to start figuring out a way to edge myself. What do I have to do to get to number one? Will they tell me what I have to do to get to number? I mean, if you don't ask what you'll have to do, then you'll never know.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I guess either way,
That's a tough
if I go
one.
in first, I'm going to try and do such a good job and make this thing so impressive and so interactive and so interesting that
Yeah.
anyone else is going to come in looking boring.
Yeah.
But there's nothing better if you can pull it off, if you can get in first,
Yeah.
and you can cancel the other
I've had
person
that.
making
That
that
is
phone
true.
call.
I've
absolutely had
Hey,
that. We're just gonna
Susan,
cancel
this. That is true.
I'm just calling to let you know you don't need to go to
Yeah.
that property.
Yeah, I've listed
because
it.
So-
they've already listed it.
I think my gut
Yep.
instinct is to want to go first because then I can try and like set the bar as high as humanly possible so that anyone else coming through is going to have a really tough time. By the time they get to I feel like that by the time you get in your third they're sort of tired about hearing about it, and my fear would be that like they're, I don't know, less engaged, less interested, or something. I guess
Because sometimes you almost feel like they've already made up their mind and you're just there wasting your evening away from your
I
family.
have absolutely had that.
Yeah, I have
But
too.
I've seen it where I've gone in and you could tell they were pretty much set on somebody else.
Yeah.
And so now it was a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because how do I pull this away from, they are committed to somebody else here. I'm just a token.
You can
Yeah.
feel it.
They're just
feel
being
it.
Yeah, you
kind
can
to you to
feel
let
it.
you
they're
follow
just
through.
they're playing
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
And it's
They're
like,
just going through the emotions of it.
Right.
Just so they
Yeah.
said that they interviewed 3
So
people.
let me bring
or
it back.
whatever.
Okay, so you do the walkthrough. So now, what's your next step, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Can we go sit at your table?
Yep, yep.
Can we go sit in the living room?
Yep, I do a walkthrough first, just so I can speak intelligently about
Breaks
the
the
house, and
ice.
after exactly it does.
Yeah.
And as I go through too, because I can be kind of blunt with people,
Yeah.
but in a nice way. But I'll also go through that house too at the same time with them, and just like, okay, when we list the house, make sure your kitchen cabinets are all cleared off, and clear off your bathroom vanities and things like that.
Do you have handouts you give them on things like that?
I actually don't. I actually
All
will
right.
start writing it down for them.
Okay, all right.
I'm bad at that. There's things I need to improve.
All right.
So,
Okay.
and then I will sit down. We'll discuss the price and the follow up.
So you go right in. You sit down. You go right into price. You don't. Do you have like a set deal? Like, do you have an area where you talk about? Let me tell you about me. And go into the price, or do you go to price first, and then do you have any part where you talk about you?
You know what? I really don't get people that ask, because again, it's all referrals.
Mostly,
they
yeah.
already know who I am,
Yeah.
and the ability I can,
Yeah.
what I can do for them.
Yeah.
So I don't get many questions about
Okay.
myself.
All right.
I did get caught off guard once, and that couple was referred to me. This guy knew my stats better than I did. And I was actually a little creeped out by it. And I did not get the listing, which I was actually kind of glad. Like, I was a little creeped out. Like, he walked in and he's like, well, yeah, you did this, this, and this, and you did this volume. And I'm thinking, how does he know all this stuff about
Yeah.
me? It was kind of creepy. And this was probably 8 years ago or something. So now it wouldn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
But I was a little creeped out by it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is just really weird. So
How often do people ask you about your production?
they don't.
Yeah.
They don't that much. No. They know they're getting referred to me because either their friend or family, coworker said something, and it's like, you know what, Ann will take care of you. She's
Yeah.
going to do a great job. She's really attentive.
Yeah.
She always gets back to you, and it's 10 o'clock at night. She's not sleeping yet. She'll respond. She'll be back to you. So, and people like that, especially in today's
So-
age.
Okay, so all right, so here we are. We're sitting with somebody who's got a fair amount of experience, and your business today is referrals. So clearly, it doesn't typically start out that way, right?
Right.
So what do you do other than just be your wonderful self? Do you have a plan or a system after the closing in the years that follow?
Yep. So I do, and the one thing I do want to start doing, I know the big thing right now is having the events and things like that. So that is one thing I want to start doing for my past clients. It seems like it's a big hit with other agents. So that is in the works. They do get a full-size wall calendar from me every year. It's just the normal stuff. But again, this was that simple stuff I learned back in my 20s working for somebody
you
else.
still
And
do-
I still do the same old simple things.
What's on the calendar? Is it like
it's always the beach.
Oh, it's the beach. Okay.
Who doesn't love a beach?
Okay.
And I get people that will come back to me, or you might get a couple notes after they're sent out. It's like, thank you so much. Especially remember the time of year these things are going out. It's winter.
Yeah.
It's December.
Yeah.
And or it's usually around Thanksgiving I send them, so early December. But people are like, God, I just love looking at the beach. And some people will take them. The girl at my bank, because she's a past client of mine, she takes us to the bank. So there my name sits in front of all the bank people that walk in. But she's like, loves the pictures. And I get a lot of comments on it. But who doesn't love the beach? I can't send people old cars, muscle cars, things like that. They'll just throw them away.
Yeah.
So everybody loves the beach.
So no newsletters.
No.
Monthly postcard.
I do the postcards, but they have not, I'll be honest, they have not been monthly. So I've been slacking on that stuff.
And what about like a gift at the closing?
Always.
What do you do?
It depends on the client. And selfishly, it depends how much time they have taken from me and my energy. Sometimes it might be a couple congratulations balloons with some cupcakes. Sometimes it might be a gift basket. It could be a gift card to On the Border because I know they love Mexican food.
Sure.
Or it just depends on the person.
So you're not doing like a hugely expensive, like you're not buying them a washer dryer.
No.
You're not buying big screen TVs.
Oh, God, no.
Is it mainly like things that you make, or because you mentioned cupcakes, or are you buying them?
I buy them.
Okay.
Yep. So we have a bakery just down the street from the office, and I go in and I just pick out the cupcakes.
Do you bring those to the closing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I do have stickers made. They have Huizen Home in my logo, so those, I put the sticker on the box. So very simple. My training in this business was very simple. He uses a paper calendar. I'm assuming he still does.
Yeah.
I still do.
The old desk calendar?
No, I don't have that. I have the regular the planner.
Yeah,
It's the planner. Yeah. What was it? I think it's called just planner, daytime planner.
Well,
so it's got one of those little ones. Remember they had all those systems.
Meijer,
they're like $25 or something. I have to look at my paper, and that way I remember everything on my schedule for the week too. So I'm a little old school on something.
So it's interesting. I mean, you really have taken the road of what we would call simplicity. You've not complicated it too much.
I really like that approach because it can get overly complicated, especially with all the digital leads and all the things like this.
But you have to have you got to have a certain personality. I think that to have that business, not everybody's got that. Not everybody's got that really over the top, winsome charisma or whatever. We're not all blessed with that. It's like some people get it and some people don't, I guess. So, so obviously we're talking to somebody who's got it.
Well, in that scenario, the basics, right? Like you think about, I go to pro athletes sometimes, you think about professional golfers or professional basketball players. They gotta do the free throws every single practice, right? They practice their putting every single round. And, it's just, there's those little efforts you have to put into the basic things like setting out your calendar, right? Or whatever they might be. But, it works.
Sometimes it's best to go back to basics. And I love keeping my transactions simple. I don't think they need to be complicated. They really don't.
I'm going to guess that you don't set goals.
Do you set goals?
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm bad at that stuff. I know. It's one
of
those things.
I don't know.
Here I can prepare to my last 3 years' numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, I had to look them up on the FSRE.
Yeah.
I don't keep track of that stuff. It's just not important to me.
Well, let's go there for a second. How many homes did you sell last year?
I have my total volume.
Oh, you got volume. Okay.
Again, I don't keep. This is just not important to me. So I just go in, I do my job, I make a good living, and I do my thing. I don't have to obsess about my numbers.
So are you ahead this year? Or
I
last?
am. So I'll be honest. So 2017 was my best year. I did 6.1 million.
Okay.
That was a really, really great year, and it was an interesting year. And I remember coming up to you saying, "I think I figured out how to sell less houses but make more money." I remember saying that to you one day. But then it kind of went backwards the next year. It was a weird. That 2017 was. People were spending a lot more money but I think everybody's numbers were up. It was a great year. That was the best year I've ever had. 2018 was not a great year for me. It just seemed like everybody spending under 200 came out of the woodwork, and that was like all your referrals. That was like every buyer, and I think I sold maybe 3 houses that were over 200 and a couple of over 300 that year. It was just a weird year last year. And now this year, I'm set to finish between 5 and 6 million.
Right.
So, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 boys. I'm happily divorced. It will be almost 3 years, and you know that's my goal. I need to spend time with them too when I have them, and I have them most of the time. And thank goodness I have my dad to help me and with them. But you know, so I know I can do more. I know I can. I know I'm not at my capacity.
Well,
but
sometimes
I also need to live too and have
Yeah.
fun, and you know, so that's kind of important to me, and travel and.
Well, you know,
so.
it's interesting. What I've done, I used to always evaluate my year in November and December.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like every year I made 80% of my money on a smaller percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And then that last little chunk that I made was all kinds of crazy effort and things that I was doing, spending lots of money. And
Crazy deals.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy
but
people.
So, you know, so if you're pushing, you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're satisfied and happy, which is important,
Mm-hmm. It's very
then you're just like taking it as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not out there trying to, you know, hunt down expireds or for sell by owners probably.
I don't do any of that stuff.
And
Never have.
do you do open houses?
Yes.
How many open
I
houses?
have one this Sunday or Saturday. Saturday I have one.
You got to have listings, of course, to have open.
I do have listings. I have a few listings right now. So.
Yeah, probably more than you've had in a long time.
How are you at
Nice.
how are you at like generating buyer leads at an open house?
You know, I'm probably pretty relaxed with buyers. I do make everybody sign in, whether you're getting Mickey Mouse or not.
Yeah.
It's just the luck of the draw. But I think people feel very welcoming coming into my open houses. I greet them, I shake their hands. You know, sometimes some people get past you because you get really busy sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm like, hey, when you get over to the kitchen table, kitchen counter, whatever it may be, please sign in. It just helps me keep track of the amount of people that come in. And that's it. And people, oh, no problem. And like people sign in. And I'll be like, I kind of have a little joke because I'll be like, you know, don't worry, I won't bother you afterwards. Because
Right.
people don't want to sign in because they don't want to be bothered.
Well, especially if they're going to like 3 or 4 open houses
I
that day.
know. They're getting hammered on Monday
Yeah.
with calls and emails and cards or whatever. Now, I think for we know that I mentor new agents too, which I love doing. I think everybody I've mentored, I think there's been about 6 of them, 5 or 6. I think everybody's been very successful so far. So I'm very happy with their success. And it's nice to see the people that you train be successful and be able to fly and spread their wings and do very well on their own.
Great.
So that's fun for me too. But the open house thing, you know, I think people then they just feel very relaxed in there. They'll come to ask questions if they have any. You know, and sometimes I get people that will follow me to other open houses and they're watching me. Mm-hmm. And I still have a client today because of that. Like she's like, we've been to a couple of your open houses. We've been watching you.
I always
and it's
felt
interesting.
I always felt that I was on, like it was like Showtime.
Yeah.
And so I knew that when I was at an open house that people could be coming in to test. Mm-hmm. Not only to test, I mean, I always thought the owner could have somebody coming in.
I know that's a fear of mine too.
Right?
Yep, that's a fear of mine
I
too.
was always like,
Be careful what you say.
I always took the approach that they're watching. This was long before we had videos.
Yep.
You know, video cam. Today it's like, don't you have to just assume that you're always being watched today by somebody's video cam?
Probably safe.
Yeah.
And
well, another thing too, don't you find you go around town and people know who you are? You don't know them.
Well,
I get this a lot.
you know, and that's a good sign. And I know that Jeff Blahnik, my previous partner, when we started 5 Star, he would send out 10,000 pieces of mail every month with his picture on it. And it was simple. It was just either yellow or pink or green. And it was tri-fold over. It was black print, one color, nothing fancy. Takes it over to Wham for a mailing service. They send it out. And all it says is, free market analysis, this is what I sold last month or
He
whatever.
still does it today.
He still
I
does
know, I
it
was going to
today.
say he probably does, doesn't
So,
he? Yeah.
but then you put out your sign, and he used to have his picture on his sign, and he'd be at the grocery store, and people would say, "I know you. How do I know you?"
Yeah.
Well, it was because they've seen his face so many times, and then if you did just solds and just listed postcards, and just like I remember I had a house in a market where he sold one day, and I think I got 22 pieces of mail from him that year.
Oh my gosh.
The newsletter, which was the ask for the CMA, and then just listed and just sold little postcards that were coming out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? After 30 years of that, you're almost celebrity status, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think honestly, in this business, and I don't think we realize it because this is our job, but I think in some level, people look at us as news anchors, how they do it, the TV people, just a little bit.
Doesn't hurt.
And I don't have my picture on my signs,
yeah.
and I still get recognized. It's kind of weird, or it's like, hey, I've been following you, or I've been watching your. Oh, I know your name.
Yeah.
I get that one a lot. I know this name from some. I was actually at a party I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago or something in Ada, and some girl walked up to me. She said, "You look really familiar," and I'm like, okay. Oh, I did HGTV House Hunters too. So I know Sue Prince did it. Yeah, I did do that one time. It was, I don't even know how many years, 7 years ago, I think.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, maybe she knows me from that. I don't know how she would know me. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's House Hunters. I was in that a long time ago. I bet you the funny thing is they think that's always what it is.
I have a question. I wanted, I don't know how much time we've got left here, Dom. For like a 30-minute segment, about 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
All right.
But we started a little late.
So let's go into, we did start late. So we got a few more than 2 minutes.
That's okay.
So Paul and you had a situation recently.
Yes.
A war story.
Yes.
So why don't you guys talk about your war story here?
So let's just open this up. You had a really beautiful listing in East Grand Rapids, 1.25 million.
Yes.
All right. Started out wonderful, didn't end wonderful. What happened, and how did it come to an end?
So we want to go right to that.
I guess. I mean, just how do we even?
So,
I think you can go right to the end.
to back it up too, I sold them the house 4 years ago too. Wonderful people, and but unfortunately, I had their house listed since February. And nothing's happening, and unfortunately there was things that they should have been doing. I've asked them to do several times. They weren't doing it, and I had to do with staging things.
But it was now listed at 1 point.
It was listed at 1.35 million
Right. So
when I first took it on.
That's a $300,000 price increase from 4 years ago when they bought it.
Correct. So, and actually more than that, more than three, about 325, a little more than that even. So it's a lot. So they expected to make their money on a house like that. And it's hard with a house over $1 million in Grand Rapids to make that sort of money in a very short period of time.
They don't depreciate quite like a $200,000 house does in terms of percentage.
No, not at all. Maybe in Chicago they do, but not here.
There's got to be a lot of them.
Yeah, and then, for East Grand Rapids, when people want to move to that market, they typically are going to that market for an old house, right? Because they love that old character. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the brand new houses in East Grand Rapids. And it was beautiful.
And they built
no, actually not. There was a house that sat cockeyed on that corner, and they pushed the house back and in the back, and then they developed 2 lots on Woodcliff Circle.
They moved the house.
They moved that house. A family from Chicago bought the one in the back, dumped.
Can you imagine?
I think they dumped well over $1 million into that house, and then they created 2 lots in the front. Well, those lots alone were over $300 each.
Okay.
Over $300 each.
So that helps pay to have their house moved.
So holy smoke. Yeah, so somebody really did well on that.
I'm going to try to...
We'll speed it up here, sorry.
So things aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to bear down.
They are.
Pushing.
They're challenging you.
Yeah.
They want to report a daily report from you.
Well, I was doing weekly reports from the beginning. So every Friday I would give them a weekly report because they really were low maintenance until the end. And then all of a sudden you start getting these demands of you. We want you to be running an ad in this particular magazine every month.
Yeah.
I got the owner on the phone, had a 20-minute conversation with him one day, and he's like, Ann, this is just not, unless you're marketing East Grand Rapids because you want to do more business there, this is not the magazine for you. It's a very small circulation. And weird thing is, the sellers are sitting here telling me, well, we think the people are going to come from international, like China or something like that. I'm like, so why are we marketing and spending money in a very tiny local market? That makes no sense. And I wouldn't do it. So it was a push.
They wanted you to bang on the symbols. They wanted you to...
Yeah. So I'm giving them pushback now. So this was going on for about 2 months.
That's hard. And that gets hard.
It does. It was a very, it kind of gets to that point. It gets, Nice Ann is now saying no to us. And they're also not liking it.
And the whole trust thing is eroding because now they're demanding, they're
demanding more. And of course, it's my fault.
But they won't lower the price.
Exactly. So I even shared with them towards the end of these emails, and it just feels like your relationship is turning and I was even going to their Christmas parties, and it just starts getting toxic, I think is a good word for it. Yeah. And it's just all this tug of war thing with these emails, tug of war, and it's just, it gets old. And you're just constantly reiterating what you need to say over and over. Towards the end, I finally shared with them. I said, I've spent around $3,000 on your house out of my own money.
How many photo reshoots did you have to do?
6.
6 photo reshoots.
6, and I even sent them a copy of the dates and everything that they were there, and then they wanted more photos.
I don't think too many of our agents have done 6 photo shoots.
That's insane.
House. Yeah,
it's insane. It's really insane. I understand if you listed something in December, there was 6 feet of snow on the ground, and now here's spring and it's April and the birds are chirping. I understand that. I get it.
This is the classic deal. And the end of the story is not written yet, is it? Because it's still not sold.
It's still not sold.
So at this moment, what was interesting, you got a hold of Paul somehow.
I did. So what happened was, so these emails going back and forth, just getting tug of war stuff. And I was actually in Vegas, and it was on a Sunday, and they sent me another email. And I finally said, and demanding more stuff again. And I said, so do you plan on dropping the price? Because we did have, Paul went with me, nice enough, graciously enough, went with me one evening to a meeting with them. And we were there for an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And we were sweating. It was really bad. It was so hot. Anyway, but we had a game plan with these people. We were going to take the house off the market, put it back on. They even asked us what new price we'd put it at. So they even brought that up. They brought it up. And we were going to have a stager come in. So I found that later that week, I had a stager come in, Kristen, which was wonderful. Spent an hour that night with them. They haven't done anything we've asked them to do. And that Sunday before I came back from Vegas, this was a few weeks ago, and I get another email, and I finally responded back, is there plans to be dropping this price? Because you know what? It was one of those things, that's going to be my decision factor. Yeah. Because I can sit here and spend $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 on this house.
So $1.3 million.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's a great possibility.
It's not going to sell.
Yeah.
It's not going to sell at this price. Yeah. So they're not going to change the price. That was the response. No, the price will remain the same.
Mm-hmm. So
I get back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get back. I flew back Monday night. I called Paul Tuesday mid-afternoon, and I said, before I give up this listing, do you want it? Paul's like, yep, let me have a crack at it. You take over the story now.
So we had come up with
you worked on it for 6 months, right?
Oh, 6, 7, yeah.
6, 7 months. So now you say to Paul, okay, Paul, you met him.
Paul, come.
They loved Paul.
We had Swedish connections.
Yes, exactly.
It was what felt like a very good relationship. And so I was like, Ann, we can do this. We came up with a commission split agreement between the two of us.
Yep.
So we jumped in. I was going to just pull out all the stops for him.
You brought in the whole design team.
Yeah, we were going to map the whole thing out. We're going to make this thing happen. It sounded good. We went and had a whole photo shoot done. We were there for, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 hours during a photo shoot. And we got them those photos, I think maybe even that night or the next day.
I think I saw the email.
And the initial response was, these photos are absolutely unacceptable. They will not work, period. So I said, I was like, okay, I called the team up and I was like, all right, plan B. We were going to bring in a new photo setup and we're going to redo everything. And by the time I had been mapping out a plan B for them, they said, hey, you know what? At this point, we're just not even sure about this any longer. We're not sure we can really trust you.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Round one of the photos, and it was like, it was almost immediate. I was hit with this whole, there just wasn't a lot of trust there. And I could just sense, and I said, you know what, guys? I said, trust is a huge thing for me. We were gonna be very happy to reshoot and go back to redo this whole thing again for you guys. And we hadn't even begun developing the marketing materials we were gonna build for them.
No,
which included like a website and aerial maps, and we were gonna do the whole thing.
But not like that, me and you had a conversation because I said, hey, Paul, what staging things did they do? Because apparently
didn't
they
do
had
anything.
somebody coming out of New York
They
to
moved
help
a
them.
they moved a couple pieces of furniture, but it was really evident to me because you've been there before, I've been there, you've been there. You come to a point where there's you're kind of hanging on to this possibility that, oh man, there could be this wonderful windfall. There could be this wonderful windfall if I got this thing sold, right? Wouldn't that be beautiful? It'd be my most expensive sale ever, kind of a mindset. And at the end of the day, you've got sellers who don't trust realtors, who think that we don't understand the market, we don't understand how to sell houses. We need help. We need New York. We need people from New York to consult with us on how to properly sell this house. And so at that moment, I wrote back and I said, hey, you know what, guys? I decided not to fight for it at that moment. And I said, you know what? After hearing everything you had gone through in our first interaction, was such a negative one. I just decided, hey, you know what, guys? I just want to wish you guys the best. No harm, no foul. We're just going to pull back. I'll drop your key back off. Let's just decide to move on. I wish you guys the best. It was a pleasure meeting you. And I just kind of bowed out.
Yeah.
And some of the people were like, man, how could you walk away from a listing like that? And it did cross my mind to try and fight for it, but at the same time, I knew I was never going to sell it at 1.25 million, which is what they were set on, and they were not going to lower their price. They'd made it pretty clear to me they were not going to lower their price.
Right.
So, and they did the old fashioned, or the old thing you hear all the time is, we don't need to sell.
Yeah.
All right,
We're not in a rush.
Here's my final question, so that we can get Ann back into the field here. Although maybe you enjoy this now.
I do. We can keep going now, and I like it.
Yeah, scared to death. Yeah.
I was scared to death.
Yeah. All right. So, when you look back, can you look at a moment and go, I should have ended this at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? How far beyond, were there...
At what point were you just clinging on versus
Did you have a moment when you look back and go, I could have easily ended the misery after 30 days or 60?
What would you do differently?
I would say I was probably closer to that 120 because at this point I already had $100,000 price reduction, and during the summer months, it's like, hey, we really got to start dropping this price again, you guys. Like now I feel like we're chasing the market. Things. I mean, even they watched the Zillow thing, right? And even the Zillow Zestimate thing was dropping too all summer, and I thought this is not looking good. You guys need to come down. Well, what do you suggest? So I tell them. They don't take my advice.
Yeah.
So, probably 4 months into it, or I would say, and I'm like, then I'm like, I told them to move that dining room cabinet back from the first week.
Yeah.
We had like 7 showings that week. Same feedback. It's always, one was the street, which I can't change. Dining room was too small. Well, the cabinet takes up too much. That was the first thing you said at that appointment with me.
Well,
it's like they're not doing anything I've asked them to do, and it's just like, why am I the one spending all my hard-earned money, but you're not helping at all? And that's free to put the cabinet in your garage. Like, that costs you no money. It's just, it just gets to a point that it was just getting to be, you start losing sleep over it too. And I'm like, I'm just done. Like, I would rather go sell 2 $500,000 houses instead and be good,
So the ultimate point then is, it's hard to let go, right?
It totally is.
Totally hard to let go. But once you let go, because there's agents that have never lost a listing. I mean, I remember talking with
there's agents right now who have never had a price reduction.
Yes, there's agents.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
A couple years ago, I asked an agent, not naming names, and I said, what's the longest you've had a listing for? I think it was 14 days. Now, somebody that's been through the crash and other things, it's like, I've had listings for a year.
Oh, we'd have them for a year or 2
years.
It
takes it's a whole new art, a whole new style,
to maintain the relationship.
To maintain a relationship
for 12 months.
When something goes longer than and everybody's programmed now to think, I'm going to get 5 offers in the first week, and if I don't, it's not my house. It's obviously the realtor. And because people typically don't blame themselves,
right? It's always the realtor's fault.
Caitlin Grant's a great example of this. She got a great price on. She listed this house, got 1 offer. It was a great offer, and it was like a full price offer, I think. But the client was like, "Do we have to accept it?"
I know.
And she was like,
"The greedy sellers."
Yeah, and he was like, well, "We wanted multiple offers."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, we got you guys an awesome price. We could have underpriced it and gotten multiple offers." But no, there is that thing right now where if you don't get your house under contract in 2 weeks, your clients start to question you.
Whenever you're in a shifting market where the prices are going up or down, it causes people to lock up a little bit.
It totally does.
And when the prices tip, until the media starts talking about it, they won't believe you.
They're always a bit
typically.
lagged.
They're always behind us. They're always like,
And
we're
the
seeing the
media's
stuff
always
that's happening
behind.
today, and
Yeah.
the public takes months to catch up to what
Yeah.
we've already just seen
Yeah.
2 months ago or
Yeah.
3 months ago. So I've noticed that
So-
too over the years. But firing those people essentially, like you did too. It was a relief to me.
Yeah.
It really was. It's just not.
It's sad to say, but
It is.
But at the
It
same
is.
time, there is in real estate agents, I think that everybody should do it at least once to fire a client, and
and
or to
it's so
fire
rare
yourself.
you have to.
Fire
It's so-
yourself.
Fire
basically.
Yeah,
yourself,
I even
basically.
tried to have them fire me. One of the
Yeah.
emails.
They were not
like,
going
they
to.
were
I mean,
not going to.
When I sat there with you, they
No.
were like, "We believe in you, Ann. You're going to help us sell this house."
Yeah. And I sent them an email, I think a week or two later. I'm like, if you feel this is not working out, but I tried getting myself fired. Like, it didn't work.
So
It's just hard. It's not easy getting rid of a listing. It's
Yeah.
not. It's,
no.
especially
Well,
when one's
that's
that
what-
much
that's
money.
what-
It's like,
that's what
holy
we've been-
smokes.
we've been
It's
trained
hard.
to get
You
them, not to
keep
give them away, right?
Right.
So anyway,
But
well,
you
hey,
get to that point, things just get toxic, and it's just like, you know what? It's just not worth it to me. I'm losing enough sleep over this.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
and you're using all this, wasting so much energy on it, even though you're not physically doing
Well, it's
anything
causing
with
you,
it.
it's causing you confidence issues.
Yeah.
It's starting to question. You're questioning yourself a little bit. No.
Well,
You did the right thing.
I did
it's
the right
draining.
thing. It's draining.
It's
That's,
draining,
Yeah,
and
that's the word for it.
sideways energy is never a good thing.
No,
So, but hey, I think
All right.
we need to
This
draw
is
it
it.
to a
We gotta
close.
call
So, Ann, it was fun.
It was
We
fun.
had a
Thank
great
you.
time.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it. So hey, blessings
Yep.
and good luck here in the rest
Thank
of
you.
2000 and what is this? 19.
19.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Crazy decades almost over.
All right, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see ya.
Yeah.